Roseanne, is it?
It's Scott, but she misspelled it.
Oh,
This is how it's going in the
okay,
record.
okay. Roseanne Scott?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
This is how it's going in the record.
Okay. And I have you here representing yourself against the bill.
Correct. Thank you for extending the time so we may speak. My name is Roseanne Scott, and the Honorable Donna Howard represents me. I am here to testify against HB 16. I speak on behalf of myself, my husband of over 30 years, our 4 children, our 8 grandchildren, and our 5 great-grandchildren. Last week, I got the call, that call. My 19-year-old granddaughter is 5 weeks pregnant. She just completed her first year of college where she is on full scholarship. I am not here to discuss the circumstances or outcomes of her pregnancy. She is surrounded by a loving family, a loving and supportive family, and is fully competent to make her own choices on the course of her life. I trust her, I respect her, and I will support her regardless of the decision she makes, whether that be at 5 weeks or 21 weeks, out of choice or out of medical necessity. Sadly, the sponsors of HB 16 and HB 60 and its, I'm sorry, please disregard, I wrote this earlier, I apologize. Sadly, the supporters of HB 16 and its supporters have shown a deep and abiding mistrust and disrespect for the women of Texas. We are not fools, and we are not fooled by the ruse of regulating abortion services out of existence for our own good. I mean safety. Women, particularly poor women in rural areas, will not have access to abortion services under the burdensome restrictions of this legislation. I have lived in poverty. There is no sick leave or paid vacation when you work a minimum wage job. If there is a car, it's not reliable. There is no money for filling the gas tank numerous times for 10 or 20-hour treks for consultations. There is no money for accommodations while you wait out the state-mandated waiting period. The state of Texas, I'll wrap up, the state of Texas is not mine nor my family's parent, doctor, spouse, or God. I am here asking you to trust and respect Texas women. I am asking you to protect our constitutional right to abortion services as guaranteed under Roe v. Wade. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Amy Cavender, here representing herself to speak against the bill.
Yes, sir. My name is Amy Cavender. I am here representing myself to speak against House Bill 16. I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I know I came into the line rather late in the game, and I am grateful for this opportunity. One of the reasons I am specifically opposed to this bill is because I think that many of the women that would be seeking abortions at the point in which this would go into effect are not people who are having these for reasons of convenience. They are having it or seeking it often because of disorders in the fetus that may impair their future fertility or may result in a painful and short life for the child. And in these instances, it's cruel to deny them this possibility. One of the reasons why I feel so passionately about this issue in general and why I try to keep track of these things is because I am pro-choice. But I do want to emphasize that I'm actually pro all of the choices. And I'm unable to have children due to a medical condition, and I would love to adopt one day. That was my great ambition. But I want that child to have been born as a result of someone's choice, not because they are forced to by a state that does not respect their moral agency. I want people to put children up for adoption because their conscience dictates it, not because the state dictates it. And these regulations that are currently being considered would almost force the creation of a class of people who are just breeding, not because they wanted to, not because they were in love and they wanted to make that love into a little baby, but because they had no choice. And that's sad. And women in the state deserve better. And my future child deserves better. Thank you for your consideration. I appreciate it. Good evening.
Michelle Dalen, here representing yourself for the bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members. My name is Michelle Dalen, and I am for HB 16 and testifying for myself. My testimony began when I was 16 years old. I gave a friend $200 for an abortion. In college, I was pro-choice. I didn't want to have an abortion, but I believed it was okay for somebody else. When I was 28, I had an illness, and I had to have someone working for me to help me do basic tasks. And that girl got pregnant and wanted to have an abortion. And at that time, all I could think about was who was going to help me if she carried through with the pregnancy. My whole life, there was a lot of pain in my heart. I had never felt wanted. And I thought it was the cruelest thing that I had to endure living. And what is so sad about this is it was all lies. About 6 years ago, the Lord called me to himself, and I began to follow Jesus. And the Lord began to teach me he's the creator God, and that he is the one who decided that I should be born. He decided that I should be born at the time I was born and in the place that I was born. He knitted me together in my mother's womb, as he did all of us. He decided from the foundation of the world that he wanted to have people, and he wanted me. And as I began to follow him, this truth began to penetrate the pain in my heart. And I began to see that even if somebody on earth hadn't wanted me, somebody in heaven did. And this just began to radically change my life. So I'm here to testify about his grace, about his mercy, about his love for every single person that he makes. And I know what it's like to be angry. I was very, very angry at him. I had done everything right. I'd gone to college. I even went to graduate school. I had paid my bills and paid my taxes, and I didn't understand when my life had fallen apart. But what I learned through this process is I was angry with him and raging at him. I was building a relationship with him, and he with me. And what I have discovered over the past 5 years, he has shown his glory in this. His grace, his mercy, his love, his miracles. Nobody could touch my heart except for him through his forgiveness and his repentance. And I believe what he's really speaking to all of us today is that he loves us, and he just wants us to have a relationship with him that is available to all of us through Jesus Christ, that his righteousness is imputed to us when we believe. So I will close from some of his words. First, from the book of Job. Ask the beasts, and let them teach you. Let the birds of heaven tell you. Speak to the earth, and let it teach you. Let the fish of the sea declare to you. Who of these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this? In whose hand is the life of every living thing, in all breath of all mankind? In whose hand is the life of every living thing and the breath of all mankind? And this from Revelation. Worthy are you, O Lord our God, to receive glory and honor and power, because you created all things, and by your will, all things exist and were created. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony.